Hello, my internet friends. Welcome to the Waking Dreamer. So, today, George Carlin on soft language. Of course, many of you know George Carlin is one of the icons of comedy. By many, he is the best comedian ever, but that's always, in any category, that's always difficult to determine who is the GOAT. He would surely, in any kind of cast of voting, be pretty up there in the top three by anyone's count. So, uh, I don't remember listening to this one. Perhaps I did long, long ago. George Carlin has been deceased for the last, I think, 15, 16 years. In these times, hearing his opinion would be really, really interesting. I can imagine he would have some insights on this divides in the left and the right and how the world has gone to, well, let's not use the words that he's about to use, probably. Let's begin, folks, and let's enjoy it together. I haven't listened to this one or ever or in a long time because I can't seem to remember it.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse. I'll give you an example of that. There's a condition in combat. Most people know about it. It's when a fighting person's nervous system has been stressed to its absolute peak and maximum, can't take any more input. The nervous system has either snapped or is about to snap.
Is he talking about what it's called? PTSD or PSTD? Post-traumatic something? Post-traumatic stress disorder? What is it?
In the First World War, that condition was called shell shock. Simple, honest, direct language. 2 syllables. Shell shock. Almost sounds like the guns themselves. That was 70 years ago. Then a whole generation went by, and the Second World War came along, and the very same combat condition was called battle fatigue. 4 syllables now. Takes a little longer to say. Doesn't seem to hurt as much. Fatigue is a nicer word than shock. Shell shock.
I can see where this is going.
Battle fatigue. Then we had the war in Korea, 1950. Madison Avenue was riding high by that time. And the very same combat condition was called operational exhaustion. Hey, we're up to 8 syllables now. And the humanity has been squeezed completely out of the phrase. It's totally sterile now. Operational exhaustion. Sounds like something that might happen to your car. Then, of course, came the war in Vietnam, which has only been over for about 16 or 17 years. And thanks to the lies and deceit surrounding that war, I guess it's no surprise.
Only over for 16 years. So when was this stand-up done? It was done in 85, 86, 88. When is this? Just a second. I have to know. I just have to know. Just a second. 1990. So when did the Vietnam War end in 74? I thought it was a bit earlier. Sorry, my bad, folks.
Surprised that the very same condition was called post-traumatic stress disorder. Still 8 syllables, but we've added a hyphen. And the pain is completely buried under jargon. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I'll bet you if we'd have still been calling it shell shock, some of those Vietnam veterans might have gotten the attention they needed at the time. I'll bet you that. I'll bet you. But it didn't happen. And one of the reasons is because we were using that soft language, that language that takes the life out of life. And it is a function of time. It does keep getting worse. Give you another example. Sometime during my life, toilet paper became bathroom tissue. I wasn't notified of this. No one asked me if I agreed with it. It just happened. Toilet paper became bathroom tissue. Sneakers became running shoes. False teeth became dental appliances. Medicine became medication. Information became directory assistance. The dump became the landfill. Car crashes became automobile accidents. Partly cloudy became partly sunny. Motels became motor lodges. House trailers became mobile homes. Used cars became previously owned transportation. Room service became guest room dining. And constipation became occasional irregularity.
Oh, sorry, folks. This is bloody hilarious. You know, I'm actually glad I never listened to this before because to imagine that there are still bits of George Carlin that I haven't listened to, it feels like there's always possibility of a hidden treasure somewhere in the corners of the internet, just waiting for me to be explored. Ah, and of course, George Carlin wasn't a comedian; he was a philosopher who just happened to be funny. Yeah, that's true.
When I was a little kid, if I got sick, they wanted me to go to the hospital and see the doctor. Now they want me to go to a health maintenance organization or a wellness center to consult a healthcare delivery professional. Poor people used to live in slums. Now the economically disadvantaged occupy substandard housing in the inner cities. And they're broke. They're broke. They don't have a negative cash flow position. They're fucking broke. Because a lot of them were fired. You know, fired. Management wanted to curtail redundancies in the human resources area. So many people are no longer viable members of the workforce. Smug, greedy, well-fed white people have invented a language to conceal their sins. It's as simple as that. The CIA doesn't kill anybody anymore. They neutralize people. Or they depopulate the area. The government doesn't lie. It engages in disinformation. The Pentagon actually measures nuclear radiation in something they call sunshine units. Israeli murderers are called commandos. Arab commandos are called terrorists. Contra killers are called freedom fighters. Well, if crime fighters fight crime and firefighters fight fire, what do freedom fighters fight? They never mention that part of it to us, do they?
Well, I guess they fight the freedom. Yeah.
Never mention that part of it. And, and some of this stuff is just silly. We all know that. Like on the airlines, they say they want a pre-board. Well, what the hell is pre-board? What does that mean? To get on before you get on? They say they're going to pre-board those passengers in need of special assistance. Cripples! Simple, honest, direct language. There's no shame attached to the word cripple that I can find in any dictionary. No shame attached to it. In fact, it's a word used in Bible translations. Jesus healed the cripples. Doesn't take 7 words to describe that condition. But we don't have any cripples in this country anymore. We have the physically challenged. Is that a grotesque enough evasion for you? How about differently abled? I've heard them called that, differently abled. You can't even call these people handicapped anymore. They'll say, we're not handicapped, we're handy-capable. These poor people have been bullshitted by the system into believing that if you change the name of the condition, somehow you'll change the condition. Well, hey, cousin, doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. We have no more deaf people in this country, hearing impaired. No one's blind anymore, partially sighted or visually impaired. We have no more stupid people. Everybody has a learning disorder. Or he's minimally exceptional.
We have no more stupid people. Everyone has a learning disorder. Yeah. If he caught a glimpse of 2024 or now 2025, Happy New Year's, everyone. Now it's an epidemic of no, but there's nobody stupid. Absolutely nobody stupid. Everyone has a condition. the age of madness we live in. I would have loved to see his take on it.
How would you like to be told that about your child? He's minimally exceptional. Oh, thank God for that. Psychologists actually have started calling ugly people those with severe appearance deficits. It's getting so bad that any day now I expect to hear a rape victim referred to as an unwilling sperm recipient. And we have no more old people in this country. No more old people. We shipped them all away, and we brought in these senior citizens. Isn't that a typically American 20th century phrase? Bloodless, lifeless. No pulse in one of them. A senior citizen. But I've accepted that one. I've come to terms with it. I know it's here to stay. We'll never get rid of it. That's what they're going to be called, so I'll relax on that. But the one I do resist, the one I keep resisting, is when they look at an old guy and they'll say, look at him, Dan. He's 90 years young. Imagine the fear of aging that reveals. To not even be able to use the word old to describe someone. To have to use an antonym. And fear of aging is natural, it's universal, isn't it? We all have that. No one wants to get old, no one wants to die, but we do. So we bullshit ourselves. I started bullshitting myself when I got to my 40s. As soon as I was in my 40s, I'd look in the mirror and I'd say, well, I guess I'm getting older. Older sounds a little better than old, doesn't it? Sounds like it might even last a little longer. Bullshit, I'm getting old. And it's okay, because thanks to our fear of death in this country, I won't have to die. I'll pass away. Or I'll expire like a magazine subscription. If it happens in the hospital, they'll call it a terminal episode. The insurance company will refer to it as negative patient care outcome. And if it's the result of malpractice, they'll say it was a therapeutic misadventure. I'm telling you, some of this language makes me want to vomit. Well, maybe not vomit. Makes me want to engage in an involuntary personal protein spill. Thank you all.
Folks, I just have to check right now. Just a second. George Carlin. Why does it say American actor? I know he was in a few movies, but I wouldn't refer to him as an American actor. June 22nd, 2008. And he was born in 1937. So he died at the age of 71. Oh yeah, if he was alive today, he would be basically be like another. He would be like 86. Yeah, 86, 87. Yeah, hard to imagine. He was such an icon, man. He was such an icon. The people throughout history who were so much ahead of their time. It took a while for him to break through. I remember watching an interview with him. So, but finally when he did break through, it was a blast. He stayed on top for 40 years. I think it was 40 years or so, yeah. Although he did comedy for I think 50 or so, but he was on the top for 40 years. George Carlin, always an icon. Ah, just wonder what he would have to say, because he was always a free speech absolutist, and he was always direct on being against government control and against aggression. So I wonder what his take would be on these crazy times. I really do. I guess we'll never know. Maybe we can ask AI, huh? Yeah, that's right. I'm going to ask AI. Just a second, folks. Let's do this. How about this? Yeah. Just a second. Who knows? Maybe we get something. Hello. Can you give me your insight, your opinion on what George Carlin would think of these times in which we live in right now, the political climate and the divides?
George Carlin would likely have a sharp, scathing take on today's political climate and societal divides. He always had a knack for cutting through hypocrisy and pointing out the absurdities of power structures. He'd probably mock the polarization, the performative nature of political discourse, and how people seem to get more outraged over trivialities than systemic issues. Carlin might also focus on how corporations and media shape public perception, manipulating people into fighting among themselves while ignoring bigger issues like wealth inequality and environmental destruction. He'd probably lambast the tribalism of modern politics, where critical thinking is often replaced by loyalty to a party or ideology. I imagine he'd see today as further proof of his long-held view that the system is rigged and the owners of the country are keeping everyone distracted and divided. What do you think he'd say about it?
I actually think you are right. Thank you. So there you have it. I think I think AI has got it right, folks. I think she's absolutely right. Thank you everyone for joining. And if there's anything else you'd like me to react to by George Carlin or any other comedian, please write below. Subscribe and like, and see you on the next one, folks. Cheers.